So normally I do women reaction only, but this time we're going to do some alpha male rehab to see if there's any dispelling I can do.
What do we want?
A high-value woman who respects and appreciates me.
And how are we going to invite that type of woman into our life?
By treating her like she's worthless.
No.
By making her feel insecure and inadequate.
Also, no. What?
Yes, of course, there's always a notion within any community, right, online, the extreme notion to try to psychologically dominate or sell some sort of idea. But this is obviously a mischaracterization of what it means to be a masculine man, as defined by regular surface level normie people on what it means to be an alpha male and all the different copes that come with this, of course. When people use alpha and beta, they're using these terms very loosely. They're not talking about alpha male from the same perspective animalistically, because immediately then obviously people come to the defense saying, oh, but there's no alpha beta dynamic within our species. But I think people look at this way too cut and dry because they care more about dismantling the idea of it instead of what is it actually supposed to be representing. So this idea of alpha male, beta male, it's all it is a man who is willing to be dominant within his hierarchy, whatever hierarchy he chooses. It could be multiple hierarchies. This is what's seen as a alpha male within our species, okay? So it's not like it's not supposed to be a scientific term, okay? It's supposed to be representing a guy who goes and is willing to get what he wants by any means necessary. That's what it's referring to. Ideally, this is done morally, of course, but we can't pretend like it never happens immorally, obviously.
Why would you do any of that?
Because that's the only way to get her to stay.
Wait, what did you just say?
Nothing. Never mind. This is all dumb anyways.
No, not never mind. You really do want her to be in your life, don't you?
No.
Yes, you do. That's why you're playing all these games.
What? Oh my gosh, all this time I didn't get it.
I was so confused. Why would you treat women this way and paint them in such a negative light, but then still pursue them and want them in your life? It's because you're scared.
I'm not scared.
Classic projection mentality, right? It's always a diagnosis. It's always some deep-rooted problem, right? It's always trying to diagnose and fix everything instead of addressing reality, really. This is the classic scenario. All these online psychologists are very, well, especially the liberal side of things, the liberal side of online psychology is always like, who hurt you, right? Shaming tactics, oh, you're scared, you're projecting. It's always this idea that just because you understand a reality and you decide to live within that reality, that somehow it always has to come from a position of fear or something else. How about I'm just doing what I need to do to ensure my success? Okay, how about just not fear? I'm trying my best to make accurate predictions about the future with data available in the present. Okay, this doesn't always have to be rooted in fear or anxiety or whatever other negative emotion you want to put a spin on it. What about just making a good decision because you need to, not because it's emotionally based? This constant emotional projection of everything is honestly extremely A, low intelligence, and B, tiring. Not everything is emotionally based, okay? And the real ones understand this, but I won't rant anymore about this. I'm just sort of attacking the obvious, what's the thing I'm looking for here? Undertone or the message at the core of this. Because I understand this is immediately some sort of a narrative-based post, right? It's trying to attack the concept of alpha male with a negative spin, because now we're going to rehab alpha male as if being a dominant masculine male is a bad thing. And there's lots of different definitions. We're going to choose the most negative definition, claim we're going to rehabilitate you from that negative condition. So what does it all mean, right? It's all up to interpretation, appealing to a specific community that wants to take down men, obviously, right? So, and anyone with half a brain understands this, but I won't rant too much more. Let's just finish this.
Everyone's scared. Love is scary. Vulnerability is scary. But do you genuinely think that disrespecting her is ever going to lead to her?
Yeah, classic surface level stuff again, right? As I always say, we saw clips of what girls say to respond to men. The classic just talking about, oh, it's just toxic people. It's just this. You keep pushing these things away, bringing them back up to surface level. It doesn't do anybody any good, right? Same notion here. Exactly the same.
Actually respecting you.
I mean, yeah, it works with some girls.
Sure, unhealed women who chase emotionally unavailable partners.
Yeah, once again, right? It's trying to say, oh, there's people out there that are unhealed, that are chasing emotional unavailability. Instead of maybe, just maybe, girls like guys, and obviously we have plenty of cases to support this, right? And even statistics actually would support this. But we obviously know that women prefer married men, right? Because they're pre-selected. So this idea that this is unhealed once again goes back into that side of the equation where it's no, you're just not ideal. Okay, you're not ideal and that's why you desire this. But if you just become ideal and you believe in the same fantasy that I believe in, then everything will be okay. Basically, once again, trying to overdiagnose everything that's happening. You have an illness, but it's okay. I will fix your illness. It's like selling the problem so then you can later sell the solution. This is what this is.
In an effort to prove their own worth and value who have had some trauma in their life.
I don't know what any of that means.
It means, yes, you can trick someone into sleeping with you for a time, but guess what? They will all eventually leave because you're not meeting any of their needs and there's no depth to this relationship, or you break it off. Because if you're honest, there's a lot of safety in the shallow and the superficial, isn't there? But you want to know the bad news? You still feel unfulfilled, don't you? Because deep down, we all want actual connection with another person.
Once again, what does this mean? Actual connection. Under what ideology? So this concept is always super subjective in nature, which is why I hate it so much, because no one can really define this perfectly. It always seems to be defined as how the feminine would define it, from a feminine perspective, right? Deep connection, emotional, right? So automatically by default, if you don't buy in fully into the monogamous concept or you don't believe in this at all, that you somehow obviously have to be defective because something is wrong with you because you have trauma. Only a traumatized person would believe in this. And this is this deep-rooted Western fake ideology that people really drank the Kool-Aid on in this part of the world, and they just can't see past it into a deeper reality that exists. This is exactly what this narrative is. This is exactly what I would call my live stream. A person like this would come in, I would just call them low IQ because they're just not willing to look past their ideology to see it how it really is. They want to spend more time delving in the fantasy of things and the ideal instead of looking at reality as an all-encompassing, what is this? Why is this the case? And then is it really lack of healing, or is it maybe potentially just a different sexual strategy? Why is that never the question? Why is it never questioned that maybe one guy would have a different sexual strategy than another? Do you think we all survived by the same means? This is another question that nobody ever asks. No, we're all the same, right? We're all the same, and if you're unhealed because you're doing this in this way. For me, it's just not a satisfactory answer, and it never has been. And when you try to look at life this way, you don't really get that far. All you do is make yourself prone to manipulation to people that are willing to do immoral things. And then, of course, the classic answer is, oh, but that's just that girl. You got to pick better. Of course, it's always a classic case, right? If you pick wrong, well, it's obviously going to be your fault every single time. In the end, it's always your fault as a guy. But now going down this path, it's even more so your fault because if the relationship doesn't work out, it's your fault. In either way you want to go about it, right? Girl leaves, it's your fault. She's manipulative, it's your fault. Right? This is sort of this line of logic that always defends the feminine, right? The only way you win here in this land is if you're essentially submissive as a man. So if you're submissive fully, you'll win here because no matter what happens, if the girl leaves and everything's on good terms and have everything taken from you, even though it's not really justified, as long as you act nice about it and respect her for making her decision and you do everything the system wants you to do, you'll have no problems. Everything will be okay. But you dare question that system, well, obviously you're the problem, naturally.
Person. We want to be able to trust someone and experience actual closeness with them.
All right, what do we want?
I mean, I don't even dispute necessarily that concept. I just know what this framing is all about. I've seen this so much in my life. This framing of, oh, you just want closeness and you're scared, but it's okay, little boy. You just gotta be vulnerable. And if you're just vulnerable, that's the solution. And it's like, not really. It's not how it works. Okay, this is a vast oversimplification and opens the door to a lot of problems, especially if you're not aware of what you're looking for or what you want in life. So, anyways, I hate this sort of. It's really all it is trying to beta male pander to a certain type of guy that's misusing principles to achieve some sort of result, and then of course feels empty in the end because he's more in touch with his feminine than his masculine. All this is. So hopefully people don't actually buy into this stuff. I'm not against monogamy necessarily at all. I just understand that, like like polygamy or any other system, really, there's pros and cons to all these, and there's a reason why people buy into one instead of the other, and all these different things, right? So to immediately call something defective because it doesn't conform to what you believe idealistically it should be is incredibly problematic to me. It just is.